right, welcome back for another edition of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com where I talk about those cheap books that you can still find tucked away in your dollar boxes, those cheap boxes at your LCS, yard sales, garage sales, flea markets, wherever you do your cheap comic book hunting. These are those little treasures you might still be able to pull out if you keep your eyes open and keep on digging. Hopefully you like the content here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button, all that good stuff. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. Check out the live shows here on Wednesdays and Sundays. And if you're interested in this week's Dollar Bin picks, just wait on for a few seconds and I'll be right back after the intro. Okay, so for this week, I have a little bit of a different selection. I know I've done a lot of Marvel the last couple of weeks, and I will continue to do some more Marvel even today. But I'm going to mix it up just a tiny bit. We're going to add and sprinkle in a little bit of DC as well, because we shouldn't completely ignore the DC universe. So with that all said, I want to kind of dive into a book that, kind of been popping up a little bit this week, given the most recent episode of Hawkeye. If you haven't watched it, perhaps you should hold off on watching a video like this, but this is a speculation site, an article after all, so I'm going to spoil things, here. So you had your warning. That said, in this most recent episode of Hawkeye, we did see that Yelena Belova popped up there at the end. And some of the speculation now is regarding Yelena and her connection to the Thunderbolts. So we did see at the little teaser there at the end of Black Widow that the Contessa was kind of feeding her some information about who actually killed Natasha, and she was kind of pointing her in the direction of Hawkeye. So is she building out her own little version of the Thunderbolts? I don't know, but it's something to keep interesting. There for Elaine Bennis, kind of pointing some of these and bringing some of these other characters maybe together for a little bit of a makeshift Thunderbolt squad in the MCU. So it's possible. Now, a lot of places online and people have been pointing to a particular book for Yelena showing up first in the Thunderbolts and kind of directing people at issue 128, which, makes a lot of sense. If you read the issue, you can see, hey, there she is. You want to lead the team, Yelena. But as my buddy Jason Shaw pointed out in an article that he actually did a couple of years ago, back in July of 2019, that wasn't actually her. So if you actually read the story through issue 134, you would find that it's actually Natasha was playing Yelena. So she was kind of undercover. So that was never actually Yelena Belova as part of the Thunderbolts team. So just kind of take that information for what it is and put that to work in what you might want to invest your dollars in, because that issue 128 started selling this week, and just don't want you spending extra money for a book that isn't exactly what you think it might be. That all being said, I'm still advising you on picking out books out of a dollar bin. So if you find 128 for cheap, I mean, by all means, you still can go and grab it. I'm not saying that you don't. I just want you to know what you're buying. And again, thanks for Jason for giving us that information a long time ago. And we just want to bring that back out for the community to know that, comicbookinvest.com, we do give you a ton of information all for free. So utilize it as a tool. Definitely utilize it as a tool. But getting on with that, let's just quickly look at 128, because like I said, it's still a book that you might want to, keep an eye out for. So copies of this, as I noted, sold this week, just this week, from $12.50 to $30. Hopefully nobody spent $30 on this as being a first, Yelena as the Thunderbolts, because that's not what I'm advising anybody to do here. Again, dollar bin digging, cheap books, cheap pickups. Yes, maybe scoop this up, but don't go paying these market prices for these types of things. That all said, keep in mind that there's a second print as well as a variant as well for this book to keep an eye on as well. But available copies, and you can still see that kind of similar kind of pricing for this book, where they're asking anywhere from $15 to like $35 for this in the market right now. Again, don't pay these prices, people. Just dig for it in your cheap boxes, because this Thunderbolts run has a ton of books tucked away in those dollar bins, and they are worth grabbing even just to read, because that's part of what comics are made for. It's not just collecting. It's also for reading. So give them a read. It's a pretty cool story. But if you do want to find Yelena's first actual appearance in Thunderbolts, well, then a couple of issues later, you want to look for issue 136. Now, in this issue, you're going to get that little bit of that super adaptoid look, because that's kind of what Norman had done, kind of rebuilding her out and I guess merging her with the super adaptoid. I mean, it's a crazy comic book story, as most of these are, but this is actually now Yelena Belova in a Thunderbolts book, and so this might be more the book you were actually hoping to get with 128 here with 136. Now, this one is still very, very cheap, so again, keep an eye out for it in the dollar boxes. But if you want to go see what it sold for, look, $3.50. One sold back at the end of October. Was the last and only sale that I could find online. And if you want to see what's on the market, $1.25 to $10. But most of them are like $1 to $2 online. So even online, this is a very, very cheap book. So just keep that in mind as well. I don't know if the interest is going to continue throughout once people, because we're still talking about the loosest of connections to, well, it's her connected to the Thunderbolts. Like, we don't even have a Thunderbolts anything definitive in process or coming to know who's going to be on that team, what it's going to be about, or any of that. So this is all speculation already. So just keep that in mind before you go spending big money on some of these books, you know, on eBay and the aftermarket or wherever. Just, this is why I'm saying keep an eye out for it in the cheap boxes. So who knows, if it turns into something, you got something. If it doesn't, well, you didn't spend a lot of money. So with that, we're going to do one more Marvel book before I shift over to the DC. And this is one that I kind of talked about on the tax show last week with Marco, where in the news part, where Avengers 50, which is Legacy issue 750, came out, and we got introduced to a new Masters of Evil team. Pretty cool. I mean, it's a lot of big guns here with some mashups of characters from, I guess, the future alternate reality type thing. But a deadly new Masters of Evil team was introduced there in issue 50 of the Avengers. But that was not their first appearance. They were teased all the way back in the summer when we did get Free Comic Book Day books, and the Avengers #1 Hulk Free Comic Book Day issue there had them first appear inside there, and they even teased that the assault begins in Avengers 50. They're telling you when we were going to see this new Masters of Evil, but they were teased here in this Free Comic Book Day first. So that is actually the first appearance, I guess you would say. Now, for this book, it doesn't sell for too much yet. I mean, it's a Free Comic Book Day after all, but some Free Comic Book Days do become expensive down the line if you can't find them. So keep that in mind as well. But right now, this thing's selling for like $2 to $4. Very, very, very cheap. And if you go looking on the market for what's actually out there for sale, well, prices on the other hand are still like $1.20 to $5. And don't get distracted, I think, by that gold logo, because I believe that was probably like the previews image, because you can see there's no barcode. I think that's just a free preview image that a lot of sellers are using on eBay. So I don't think there's a gold variant out there. Not that I've seen an actual copy that had the gold logo. Like I said, I think it's just a preview image. So just don't get confused. Just expect to get the regular issue if you're out there buying it. But like I said, it's Free Comic Book Day issue. Who knows what may come of it? Just keep an eye out for it. Maybe you can still get it for free at your shop. Maybe they got leftover copies, and then they wouldn't mind giving you one or two just for fun. So, I don't know. If you think there's any legs in this new Masters of Evil team, I mean, people do like mashups of characters, so why not some mashup characters that are actually villains? And, yeah, who knows? Maybe they hang around for a while. Maybe they don't. But again, that's what the fun and speculation part of this is. Moving on to this is a little bit of a older news, I guess, for DC. I mean, it was only like a week ago. I'm not kept up with the CW shows, any of them, let alone The Flash. But apparently, a character was killed off screen in between seasons, I think. And he was kind of an important character in the Flash universe. And yeah, I just think that's kind of weird. So they are filling it out, and apparently he's going to be coming back anyway. So it's just like one of those comic book deaths where it doesn't actually hold. So even on the TV shows, they kind of do the same thing. But we're going to be looking at Flash Season 0 #1, which does have two covers. It's got the photo cover, which does all right, and there is also pretty cool art cover. I like the yellow, makes it pop. I think that's Francis Manipool, possibly, who did the art on the cover. Not 100%, but I believe that's who it is. But the reason why we're talking about this book, and again, and the death that I'm referring to, was Joe West, who first appeared in this comic. Now, he was a character created for the show, so he didn't have any other comic book appearances before we got this kind of adaptation, this Year Zero kind of leading into the Flash show here. So that's where his first appearance is in comics because, again, he wasn't a character that in DC canon existed in the sense of how we know him on the show, with him being Iris's dad and a police officer and all of that. But apparently he was killed off screen between seasons, and now we're going to get a little bit of explanation on the show, and apparently he's also going to be coming back. So I'll take it for what it is, but this is just one of those weird little books just to be mindful of. While it is a first appearance, these Flash Season 0 books actually sell pretty well on their own. So if you can find them in a dollar bin, I just suggest grabbing them, because most of them, even it's a 12-issue run, I think, for the first part, and then I think it might have continued. But those first 12, at least, they're all probably pretty worth grabbing. They're a lot of them are listed online from anywhere from like $10 and up, really. Granted, there's cheaper copies as well, but they're not a ton out there, and they do pretty well. And when we look just at issue 1 here, there's none that sold recently. So keep that in mind too. Not a lot have moved. In fact, none have moved the last 3 months. But if you look at what copies are listed out there for this, they can go anywhere from as cheap as $4. Granted, that's a fine copy from my comic shop, I think. So it's not going to be the best shape. Up to, look, I mean, $24. The art cover, about $14. Like, there's a lot of $15 to $20 asks for this book. Actually, I shouldn't say a lot. For what's out there, that's the prices. But just keep that in mind. If you look at the other issues in the run too, they're all a few bucks. These aren't all listed for $1. So if you can find any of these for $1, it might be worth scooping up. Just keep that in mind as well. Sticking with the DC universe and the comics, there's a character that's getting a little bit more of a backstory revealed in the current Suicide Squad title. So I think in this Suicide Squad issue 10, this, I'm not even going to say if I'm saying her name properly. It's like Culebra. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's Culebra is the character name. She's like a super strong character that's part of this Suicide Squad team. But we're getting a little bit more of a backstory on where she came from, and she has a connection to this Spiral organization that we know a bit from the Grayson run, if you read some DC stuff. But her first appearance, if you're interested, again, it's just this year, was in Suicide Squad number 2 of this current run of 2021, issue 2, which has 2 covers. This is the cover A, and then there's the limited trade dress for the cover B. Again, this is the kind of thing you might still find in recent back issues for like half price kind of thing. Maybe they were already in dollar bins. Just something to keep in mind. But her first appearance, it's not just a one panel, but here's the big splash where this whole new team is coming out, and this is her right there. But she has a bunch of panels throughout and part of the story, as like a super strong character throughout this. But we're getting a little bit of her ties with this Spiral, again, organization that I mentioned. You might have seen in that Grayson run, because I think it was like the big bad. I think there's also ties to Batwoman, and it's just one of those organizations to be mindful of. But you want to see the first appearance of this Culebra, I say again, I can't even say her name. That character, however you pronounce it, $4.50 it sells for, and then you can get the first 6 issues there for $15. So it's still pretty cheap for the actual sale prices. A little bit around cover price for that B cover, and then a bargain for a little bit of a lot. Available copies. I couldn't find any cover A's for sale online. But there was a cover B for $8. That was it. For individual issues of this run. So I'm not aware of the actual print run on this, but I don't think they're that impossible to find. I just don't think a lot of people are bothering trying to sell this current run of Suicide Squad. So it's something you might find in the cheap boxes, the discount bins at your shops and whatnot. So I don't know. Who knows what might come out of it? It is what it is. But in tying her origins to that Spiral organization, you can go back to Batman Incorporated number 4. I think this is the first volume of Batman Incorporated, and you get the introduction of that organization. I think you saw the image of the Spiral logo in the previous issue 3, but they didn't explain it. And then here in issue 4, we get a little bit more of an explanation here with I think it's Kate Kane, a little flashback kind of thing. Here you can see that there's the Spiral card that he's handing her, and explaining that this is Spiral, and that's the name of the organization. So they're named, kind of really introducing it here in this issue 4, even though I think that symbol showed up at the issue before at the end. But issue 4, this is another one you don't find a lot online, but you can find these Batman Incorporated books in those cheap boxes. I've seen plenty of them. I've flipped past plenty of them. So they're definitely out there. None sold recently online, at least on eBay. Because like I said, there's not a lot listed because I don't think this is a book that's worth the effort in trying to sell online right now because nobody's really looking for Spiral. Like it's not a big deal, but who knows what can come out of these things, which is why this is speculation. I don't know. Just kind of a fun little thing. So if you find this in a 50-cent box, $1 box, maybe just grab it just in case. As you can see, even online, there's some copies listed for as low as $1.50, but then there's copies as much as $12.50. So the asking prices are all over the place. None have sold recently. Who knows what could come out of this? Probably nothing, but that's what makes this whole hobby fun. At least that's what makes it fun for me. Just finding weird little things to dig out of the cheap boxes that could be something, could be nothing. Who knows? Let's just have fun looking at comics and just going through this stuff. But I believe that's all I got for you this week. Hopefully you like that, and hopefully you like the content here on the channel, as well as the other stuff that I'm putting out. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Give me some suggestions of some things you want to see. Do you like this kind of format? Do you want to see more DC? Do you want to see indie stuff? Do you want me to just keep sticking to Marvel? Because that's the stuff I know a little bit best. But just let me know in the comments what you like, and I will try my best to accommodate. And with that all being said, again, I appreciate you all watching. Hopefully you check out the article over on comicbookinvest.com, and I will see you guys soon with some more content.